All right, everybody, so we're going to be creating the InkBlot design. So I'm going to name this one InkBlot width 14, height by 11. So it's 11 by 14, resolution 300. Okay, so when we get started here, we're going to start with some basics. All right, so we're going to get into my layers, and we're going to create a new layer. And so I want to create, we're just going to grab a splatter brush. So I've got a bunch right here, and then figure out which one that you're going to want for your design. So I'm going to start with something like this. Now, I'm going to want to rotate this. So a couple things that went on. One, I'm going to rotate it. Two, I want to make a new layer. So here's my brush settings. Here's my brush. Let's see here. There we go. So I'm going to change my brush, the angle of it, so I get it the right shape, because I just want this going straight across. There we go. That's pretty good. Now, maybe make it a little bit bigger so it fills the space a bit. Okay, so I've got that. Okay. Next thing, so I've got that part done. Now I'm going to go File, Place, and I'm going to pull a picture in. And so on this picture, so I've got desktop, there's my image 2, and I'm going to pull this image in. Okay, so I want to scale this, so I'm going to press the Option key so it pulls from the middle. Now I want to make this big enough so it's not small. Okay, so I do this for now. And then I am going to, let's see here, hit return, right click, and then create clipping mask. Alright, so that's in there. Now, a lot of times I end up wanting to make this a lot bigger, so I see more of just the eyes than everything else. No, maybe if I go with this size, that's fine. But I'm going to eventually possibly erase some other portions of it. So I've just got that for now. Okay. Now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to rasterize this layer, and with this picture I'm probably going to end up, not that I really need to right now, but I want to anyways. I just want to erase some of this extra stuff in here, and you can see how some of this is starting to turn black, and the reason it's turning black is because this layer underneath is black. And so I'm just getting rid of some of this excess there. Okay. Now with this image, in fact, let's see here, erase a little bit more. Okay. Now I'm on this layer. With this, it's black for right now. I can change that to any color I want to. Okay. In fact, this background color, I'm going to change that to something else. And so instead of it just being white, I might go with something that's going to be a lot more subtle. It's kind of this kind of color. In fact, I'm going to go even lighter. Alright, so that's a little bit better. Okay, so now after that, I want to go in and I'm going to change this. So I'm going to go Image, Adjustments, Image, Adjustments, Desaturate. So I've got the hue saturation, I've got the desaturate. So I've got that. Now this layer, maybe what I want to do is, I don't want it black, so I'm going to change it to a different color. So I'm going to use the eyedropper tool, and I'm going to use the magic wand, and I'm going to click on everything outside of the ink splatter. So here's my ink splatter, right? It's going to take me too long to grab that unless I grab this, and then I'm able to select it. So I just want to select the background, and then I'm going to go select inverse, and now I've got this picture. Alright, now what I want to do is grab a paintbrush, and then I'm going to change it to be something like this, be something even a little bit darker. Okay, and then I'm just going to paint the whole thing if I can. A little bit more. Alright, so now that whole thing is painted. Okay, deselect it, pull this picture in there, and now I've got that part. Now I can change this. Oops. Change the opacity of it so I can see that just a little bit more. Okay, now the next thing I want to do is go Window, let's see, work with filters. So I'm going to go into my filter gallery because I want to change that just a little bit. So I'm going to zoom out so I can see the whole image. Okay, and then it's up to you what you end up doing with this. So I'm going to go with Let's see, so there's the sponge. That might be a little bit too much. Smudge stick doesn't work. Rough pastels is pretty good. Let's see here. Let's go back into rough pastel so I get some of that little jittery look to it. Okay. Click OK, and so I've got something like that for right now. All right, the next thing I want to do is I'm going to get in and add some watercolor brushes. So I'm going to make a new layer here. And I want to click on, here we go. We're going to try some of these out. And so now I've got some different effects going on in here. And so I'm going to change this color, and maybe I go with more of a teal color. I know some of these are blocky, and if they're blocky, you just have to be kind of careful with it. So I'm going to go with something like this. Maybe a little bit more. If I have these blocky edges, see what happens, and then you get those lines on there. So that's probably not really what you want. So all I might have to do is just rotate this, and then I can have those nice little watercolor looks to it. Okay. So then go back to my layers window. I've got that. I can go right click and then create clipping mask, so then that's inside of there. Now that's probably too much. If I want to change the opacity of it, I can do that so it's still there. I'm also going to use the eraser. So here's my eraser tool. I'm going to change my opacity to about 50% so it's not too much taken out of there. Okay. And then the next thing, I might add another layer, maybe above that. And I'm just going to use the brush tool and put another layer in here. So I've got splatters. I don't want that. Down here, see what other tricks I've got. So I've got my brush, and then I'm going to go all the way up to the top. I'm going to go back to general. So I'm going to go smaller with this. And I'm going to go with a darker color, change my opacity to about 50%, 40%. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to clean up the edges right through here. So I'm just burning some of this in. So by doing this, I'm just darkening some spots. Now on this layer, maybe I want to make it look a little more like it's cut out. So then I'm going to go and add an inner shadow. And so now you can see what's happening with this. And now it looks like it's actually cut out of here. So that splatters there. It's up to you what you end up choosing for that. So I'm going to go with that for now. Okay. Now for the background, I'm going to mess around with it just a little bit more. And this is way too flat back here. So I want to mess around with some other brushes. Now I may end up having to add some different brushes in here. Just because I don't like the feel. I don't like that at all. And so finding these square pieces usually aren't great. And so let's go with a different color. We're going to grab this, go a little bit darker, find a better color. There, maybe something like this. We'll try that. And what I'm trying to do is just create a little bit of a watercolor look to it. So we'll start with this. Okay, and then maybe I go a little bit darker here. And then add another one, so there's that, and then maybe rotate that brush so it's not the exact same. So I got that, and then maybe I do another one right here, or even change the brush. Okay. Now, when I get some of these lines, here's what I'm going to do. This is one last thing I'll do. So I'm going to go a new layer right here, and I want to draw a mark right there. Now I've got that little edge on there, so I'm just going to erase that. Let's change the opacity to 100%. So I'm going to erase that edge, erase this edge, then go back into my brush, change the angle of it, Okay, here we are. Now I'm going to do this. Okay, and then there wasn't really a line. I'm not seeing it for that. So then I'm going to go to here. So I'm rotating it again, and then we'll go with something like that. Now it showed up right here, so I'm going to get rid of that little spot, and then go back to my brush, rotate it one more time, and then add that in. And so now I've got some of the effects that I really want. So the background looks like it pops a little bit. Now maybe I don't want this inner shadow. Maybe I want to do an outer shadow. Right? So instead of this inner shadow, I'll hide that and then create a drop shadow. So I'll click on this. Maybe it'll look good, maybe not. Not really liking it right now. So it's up to you what you end up doing, and maybe you don't even have it at all. But you can see what happens when you add those. So there's my inner shadow, so it almost looks like it's cut out of the picture, which may or may not be effective. Now, this is pretty small right now, so I might just grab these 4 layers and then just scale them. So it fits the document a little bit better. So there we go. Click OK. And that's the process for this assignment. So you can see how you've got an ink blot, you've got a splatter, you've got some other effects added in there. Maybe you want to go back in and clean some of these up where you add some more brushes. And so there's a lot of freedom and flexibility to do what you want to with this design. And so get creative, have some fun with it, and see what you can come up with. So good luck with this. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'd be glad to help you out. So that's all I got. Good luck with this project. Have some fun.